Well, hello, everybody. BJ from Very Basic Bible, coming to you from Very Basic Bible Central, aka my apartment that I pay too much for rent on. We're going to go back to the book of Ruth. Book of Ruth. Let's share that screen. Been about, and last week I did Micah twice. Then I started thinking about stuff from Micah because I did this Bible quick read through the entire history of the northern nation of Israel. Okay, read from the beginning of First Kings to the middle of Second Kings, northern nation of Israel. Okay, during that time, Micah is prophesying. So I start seeing things that match up with the book of Micah to the books of First and Second Kings. Start seeing these things match up, and I'm like, Micah could take a long time. And my mind's thinking about that, and I'm thinking, wait, I missed this. Wait, I missed that. Wait, in Micah chapter 1, this matches this over here. Wait, this matches, I should look up. Forgot all about Ruth. My mind hasn't been on it. So I'm going to try to not repeat a bunch of stuff I've already repeated. But hey, what am I here for? Very basic Bible repetition, right? Yeah. All right. Let's just start reading from chapter 1. Okay. Right here, NASB. If I repeat a bunch of stuff in my last video, okay, you're learning it again. Sweet. Here we go. Now Boaz went up to the gate and sat down there, and behold, the Redeemer of whom Boaz spoke was passing by. So Boaz said, "Come over here, friend, sit down here." And he came over and sat down. Okay. Friend. We might have talked about this. Super hospitality. Everybody's like, hey, let me fix this. Hey, let me do that for you. Let me help you out here. Let's Abraham chapter. I don't remember what chapter it's in. We'll say Sodom. The man wrote chapter 18. That's a chapter right there. 18:22. Now the Lord, Boaz might know this guy. They might be friends, but he's like, hey, come over here, friend, sit down here. He's fixing to do a business deal with the guy. Okay. But he's like, hey, friend, over here, sit on down. Don't stand up. Hey, I got a proposal for you. Hey, man, come over here. Let's, okay. Be all formal and stuff. No, friend, come sit down. Okay. Now the Lord appeared to Abraham by the oaks of Mamre while Abraham was sitting at the tent door in the heat of the day. Okay, it's hot. I guess he's sitting down and is trying to stay in the shade a little bit. When Abraham raised his eyes, so the Lord hasn't appeared yet. Now the Lord appeared to Abraham at the oaks of Mamre. I would think there should be a period. This is like a chapter heading, Then the chapter starts. While Abraham was sitting at the tent door in the heat of the day, he raised his eyes and looked, or something like that. Okay, so when he raised his eyes and looked, behold, 3 men were standing opposite him. Oh, there's some men. And when Abraham saw them, does he know they're the Lord? They're 3 men. He doesn't know yet, I don't think, that they're the Lord, that they're angels with God. The other 2 men turn out to be angels, if you read further in the story. So behold, 3 men were standing opposite Abram. He's chilling in his tent door. He looks up, there's some men. And when Abram saw them, Abraham, his name has been changed. Abraham saw him. He ran from the tent door to meet them and bowed down to the ground and said, "My Lord, if now I have found favor in your sight, please do not pass by your servant. Please let a little water be brought and wash your feet." Wait, look at this. Your sight. They capitalize the Y. Please, my Lord. They capitalize Lord. So the NASB, they assume that Abraham goes, "Oh, whoa, it's Yahweh." I'm not so certain that he knows it's Yahweh. He's being super hospitable. This was a rather common thing back then. Everyone was just hospitable. That's just how it was, I say everyone. It was a rather normal practice. Okay, in today's day and age, you go in the store before somebody, you go into a building before somebody, you open the door and you let the other person go. You hold the door open for a person. Everybody does that, right? Every time I go into somewhere, I feel like I have to hold the door to let the person behind me. Every time there's somebody in front of me, it seems like they stop and they hold the door for me. We go, thank you. Does that happen every single time? No. Sometimes I walk in, I pretend like the person isn't there. I just walk through. Sometimes you just don't see them. You just, sometimes you don't have to, sometimes it doesn't matter. You don't, but we say everybody does it. It's a normal, common, everyday thing. A normal, common, everyday thing in America here. Obey the general traffic laws. Everybody does it. Some people run red lights. Some people cut you off when they shouldn't. But, generally people fight, right? Okay, it's an everyday thing back then for hospitality, like super hospitality. I'm going to type in city square and see if I come up with an example. Right here, Judges 19:15. That's what I was looking for. Came about in those days when there's no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite staying in a remote part of the hill country of Ephraim who took a concubine. See, wrong right there. Levites, they're not married. They don't get married. They never get married. In fact, God said, you're not going to get married. Dude's got a concubine. Concubine is a sort of wife. It's someone you take because, like, hey, I want to have sex, but I can't have a wife. So come here, concubine. I don't like that. I don't think God likes it. I know for a fact, God don't like that. No. But this Levite, who shouldn't be having even a real wife, has a concubine. So whenever we say everybody does, okay. All right. His concubine found him repugnant. She left him. Her husband set out and went after her to speak gently to her in order to bring her back. Okay. His father-in-law, the girls prevailed upon him. He remained with them for 3 days, but that's the man was unwilling to spend the night. They're going to go home. All right. So right here, where is it at? The man was unwilling to spend the night. So he got up and left, came to a place opposite Jebus, that is Jerusalem. When they were near Jebus, the day was almost gone. The servant said to his master, please let us turn aside into the city of the Jebusites and spend the night in it. However, the master said, we will not turn aside. We will go as far as Gibeah. Okay. And the servant said, Gibeah. I'm reading too much. They turned aside and entered and spent the night in Gibeah. Okay. When they entered Gibeah, right here, they turned aside to enter and spend the night in Gibeah. When they entered, they sat down in the public square of the city, for no one took them into his house to spend the night. Like I said, should be a common thing. Israel's so evil and wicked at the time. No one took them in. Then behold, an old man was coming out of the field from his work at evening. Now the man was from the hill country of Ephraim, and he was staying in Gibeah, but the men of the place were Benjamites. Benjaminites, in the book of Judges, they get kind of a bad rap at this point. The old man raised his eyes and saw the traveler, the Levite, and the lady, right? So this man's not from Benjamin. He is from Ephraim. He saw the traveler in the public square of the city. And the old man who saw the traveler said, where are you going and where do you come from? And he said to him, we are passing from Bethlehem in Judah to the remote part of the hill country of Ephraim, for I am from there. And I went to Bethlehem in Judah. But now I'm going to my house to Ephraim. So the traveler, the Levite, also lives in Ephraim. No one will take me into his house. Then the old man said right here, peace to you. Only let me take care of all your needs. However, do not spend the night in the public square. Okay, so the old man's like, hey, I'm from Ephraim, you're from Ephraim. He doesn't say that, but that's probably what happened, right? Like, hey, hospitality. I'll let you stay. Come stay at my house. Look at this even. No one will take me into his house, said the Levite. Yet there is both straw and feed for our donkeys. We have our own straw and feed, and also bread and wine for me. There is no lack of anything. Look, we have everything. No one's taken us into our house, but we have everything. We have straw and feed. We have bread and wine. Don't worry. We don't lack anything. The old man said, peace to you, only let me take care of all your needs. So that, yeah, we have to stay out in the public square, but don't worry, we have everything. The old man, no, come into my house. Let me take care of your needs. It's a kind of a common thing. It's for stuff like that to happen. So here, they probably knew each other. Like I said, one guy's from Ephraim, the other guy's from Ephraim. Hey, let me see from hospitality, So here, come over here, sit down. Am I making too big a deal of this? I don't think I am. Like I said, it was a business deal, right? I think he's trying to say, come over here and sit down because we got business to do. But hey, you're my friend, He came over and sat down. Then Boaz took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, sit down here. So they sat down. Who are these elders? I think we looked up stuff about elders. Let's look up elders real quick. Now, there are elders in the New Testament, but this is the Old Testament elders. Oops. I'll just hit that. Yeah. Okay, went up. Look at this. So Joseph went up to bury his father. That's good. And with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of Joseph's household, and all the elders of the land of Egypt. Maybe his is actually Jacob, the elder of the father. Joseph's father is Jacob. So maybe the elders are from his father's household. Maybe the elders are from Joseph's household. Either way, they're elders, and all the elders of the land of Egypt. They got to go up. Joseph was the super important guy, right? Pharaoh made him in charge of everything in Egypt. That's why all the elders of the land of Egypt are going to go up for Joseph's father. Why would important people, if they are important, if elders are important, like I'm claiming there, why would they be going up to Joseph's house, to Joseph's dad's funeral? All of them, Joseph was an important dude. Elders must be important people. I'm thinking, okay. All right. Go and gather the elders of Exodus 3:16, full chapter. Moses said to God, okay. No, where is it at? Moses said, I must turn aside and see this marvelous sight, why the bush is not burning up. When the Lord saw Moses turn aside, took a look, God called to him from the midst of the bush. Everybody knows this, right? Moses, Moses. Moses said, here I am. God said, do not come here. Remove your sandals from your feet, for the place that you're standing is holy ground. God said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Then Moses hid his face, so he's afraid to look at God. So Moses is talking to God there, okay? Moses said, God said, I have certainly seen the oppression of my people who are in Egypt. And God said, now come, I will send you to Pharaoh so you may bring my people, the sons of Israel, out of Egypt. Okay, God is going to send Moses to get his people out of Egypt. Moses is scared. Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and that I should bring the sons of Israel out of Egypt? And God said, assuredly, I will be with you. Look, dude, you're going to go bring the people out of Egypt. How's he going to bring the people out of Egypt? Moses said, behold, I'm going to the sons of Israel, I will say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you. Now they may say to me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? Moses is like, I don't want to go. God, what am I going to say? All right, verse 16. Go and gather the elders of Israel together and say to them. Okay, first he's like, hey, you're going to go to the sons of Israel. You're going to get everybody out. Moses is like, am I going to do that? God's like, yes, you're going to do that. And you're going to give them a sign. Here's a sign. Moses is like, do you really expect them to believe me? And God's like, yes, you're going to do it. God furthermore said, tell them this is what I say to you. Okay, God's like giving Moses these instructions. Now, who does God tell Moses to go to? Just go to everybody in Israel. Go and gather the elders of Israel together. Say to them, the Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob has appeared to me. Okay, so Moses, you could go talk to any old person, but you seem afraid. Either A, God is going, Moses, you seem worried. God, what am I say to them? Am I going to go to them? Should I go to them? Moses doesn't want to. So either God is A, saying, okay, just go to the elders. Or B, God is saying, here's what you're going to do specifically. Go to the elders and talk to them. Why the elders? Why wouldn't you just go to any old person and talk to them? The elders must be important, is what I'm thinking. 3:16, 3:18, they will pay attention to you, and you with the elders of Israel. So 3:16, only 2 verses later, God's still talking to Moses. Okay, this is the burning bush passage still. And you with the elders of Israel will come to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and you will say to him, the Lord, the God of Hebrews, has met with us. So now please let us go a 3 days journey in the wilderness. God wants not just Moses to go to Pharaoh, but all the elders to go to, not all of Israel, but the elders. Okay. Hey, Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said, we're still in Exodus. Go and take for yourselves. He just called the elders. Why didn't he call like all the people? Go and take for yourselves lambs according to your families and slaughter the Passover lamb. Everybody in Israel was supposed to do the Passover. The whole family was to do the Passover. But Moses called the elders of Israel. Go and take yourselves lambs according to your family. Okay. So it's the elders. Right. Elders. Moses did this on the side of the elders. It's all about the elders. Then Jethro came with all the elders to, where is that? Then God said to Moses, come up to the Lord. You, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, those are the priests, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and you shall worship at a distance. God wants the people to go up before him, but not all the people. The 3 main priests, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders, not even all the elders, but still elders, right? Right. I could find the place. I could search Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu and go, oh yeah, they are priests, We don't want to take anything for granted when we're studying the Bible very basically, right? Aaron married Elisheba, the daughter of Aminadab, the sister of Nahshon. And she bore Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. Okay. She bore them that. Yeah. Exodus 28:1, garments of the priest, then bring forward to yourself your brother Aaron and his sons with him, from among the sons of Israel, to serve as priests to me. Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, Aaron's sons. Okay. Right? Yeah. To serve as priests. Who's going to serve as priests? Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and then these other sons, Eleazar and Ithamar. Okay, right? So we know who Nadab and Abihu and Aaron are. They're going to be priests, 70 of the elders. Do we know that's God? How do we know? Just because there's a capital H? Just a few minutes ago, I said, now the NESB had a capital H, but I don't think it's necessarily God. Or I don't think Abraham knew yet it was God. But they had the capital H anyway. And a Lord, capital L, and a capital Y, because you are for. Okay, so here, God is talking to Moses. You shall not give a false report. You shall not follow the crowd. If you encounter an enemy's ox, you shall sow your land. So God's telling Moses all this stuff. Behold, I'm going to send an angel before you to guard your way along the way. So God, all these 3 national feasts, 3 times a year, God's telling Moses all this stuff. Okay, look at that, even more stuff. Okay, verse 21. These are the ordinances which you are to set before them. We're almost there. Then God spoke all these words, saying, all the people were watching and hearing the thunder and the lightning flashes and the sound of a trumpet and the Moses smoking, and all the people saw it. They trembled, stood in the distance. They said to Moses, speak to us yourself, and we will listen, but do not have God speak to us, or we will die. Thunder and lightning flashes, sound of a trumpet, the mountain smoking. The people saw it and they freaked out. They trembled, stood at a distance. Hey, Moses, you speak to us. But Don't let God speak to us or else we're going to die. Then the Lord said to Moses, this is what you shall say to the sons of Israel. Oh, so the people stood at a distance right here, verse 21, while Moses approached the thick darkness where God was. Okay. God's telling them all this stuff right here. Here's some more commands. And then chapter 21, we got more commands that Moses is telling God while the people are far away. Moses is telling God, God is telling Moses while the people are far away. Here's more commands in chapter 22. God is telling Moses while the people are far away. Chapter 23, more commands. Chapter 24, then God said to Moses, okay, so we stop with the commands, with those commands, but come up to the Lord, you and Aaron and Nadab and Abihu and 70 of the elders of Israel. You shall worship at a distance. Okay. So this is God telling Moses that. Nadab, Aaron, and Abihu are priests. 70 of the elders, remember who the elders were? Elders of each household. We looked up here. Elders of Israel, take your hand and your staff. Elders of the sons of Israel. You're going to take the elders before the king. God told the elders, go and take for yourselves lambs according to your family. So elders of the family, right? You know, so these are important people, these elders, right? Are these the same elders that Boaz has, right? 1932, look at this. You shall stand up in the presence of the gray-headed and honor elders. Okay, are gray-headed people elders? We think so. We usually use it that way, right? In the Bible, I believe they're not necessarily synonymous all the time. Elders generally, you know, someone older or someone wiser, or the head of a household is the elder because they're old and wise. They kind of equated being old with wise. Jesus, in certain spots of the Bible, I think Revelation, Jesus is said to have hair white like wool. And you think white for purity, but also white because wisdom, gray-headedness, you know, honor the gray-headed, honor the elder. Jesus is an elder. So they picture him with white hair. 70 men from the elders of Israel, whom you know to bring them, have them take your stand with me. So Moses went out and told the people the words of the Lord. He also gathered 70 men of the elders of the people. 11:24. 70 men of the elders, only 70 men, and of the elders. Then the Lord came down in a cloud and spoke to him. And God took away some of the spirit who was upon Moses and placed the spirit upon the 70 elders. God didn't say, go get random people. God didn't say, go get 70 of the priests and Levites. No, God said 70 of the elders. So we're just saying, hey, elders, that's an important title, you know. Let's look a little further on. Look at this. 1920. Then the elders of his city shall send men and take him from there and hand him over to the avenger of blood so that he may die. He may die? Yikes. This is a case of one who commits manslaughter, who may flee there. Okay. You shall prepare roads for yourself. Divide. Anyone who commits manslaughter may flee there. Verse 2. You shall set aside for yourself 3 cities in the midst of your land. Anyone who commits manslaughter may flee there. These are called cities of refuge. They give us a subtitle called cities of refuge. Okay. Control F. Elders. There it is. Okay. If you act. Now, this is the case of anyone who commits manslaughter, who may flee in there and live. When someone kills his friend unintentionally, not hating him previously, as when a person goes into the forest with his friend to cut wood, his hand swings in the axe to cut down the iron head slips off the handle and strikes his friend so he dies. So it's an accident. So they give an example of an accident. Your axe, you know, breaks and flies off and hits the guy. He may flee to one of these cities and live. Otherwise, the avenger of blood might pursue him in the heat of his anger. The avenger might pursue him, overtake him, because the way is long, take his life. Okay. But, verse 11, if there is a person who hates his neighbor, waits an ambush for the neighbor, and rises up and strikes him so he dies, and then he flees to one of those cities, then the elders of his city, either A, the city of the avenger of blood, or B, the city where the men originally came from. I think it's the city where the man originally came from. The men of his city shall send men and take him from the city of refuge, hand him over to the avenger of blood so he may die. Why? Because he murdered the guy. When you get murdered, when you murder a guy, you get murdered. When it's one of the 10, thou shalt not murder, one of the 10 commandments. And capital punishment was a very real punishment in the Old Testament. When you shed somebody's blood, your blood gets shed. The elders of his city shall send men to take him from the city of refuge. The elders, okay? Not just any old person. The avenger of blood doesn't even go to the city. No, the elders send men. Now you think, well, why don't the elders go themselves? It's very common. Like the king would often send servants and say, hey, come do X, Y, and Z. And if you didn't do it, you were disobeying the king. But it's the king's servants, exactly. The apostles are sent by Jesus. Anything the apostles say, it's like coming from Jesus. But they're the apostles, they're not Jesus, but Jesus sent them. So, the elders send them. Then your elders and your judges shall go out and measure the distance of the city, which are around the one who was killed. So another thing about being killed, right? They're trying to figure something out. They measure a distance. Who do they give to take this task of murder and being killed? Elders and judges. Okay. So we're just going to see, let's look in Judges since elders. The people served the Lord all the days of Joshua. That's good in the book of Judges because they quickly didn't serve the Lord. But right now, during the days of Joshua, they served the Lord, and all the days of the elders who survived Joshua, the elders who had seen all the great work of the Lord, which he had done for Israel. So these are old people, right? The elders who survived Joshua and who had seen all the great work of the Lord, who had seen a bunch of the stuff that he had done. As long as they were alive, it seemed the people served the Lord, right? Okay, so if they had seen something in the past and now they're in the future, that does mean they have to be at least a little older. I mentioned the older because I earlier talked about gray-headedness, right? So these elders are important people. So long as they're there, people are serving the Lord. Then the youth wrote down for him the leaders of Succoth and its elders, 70 men. Okay. He took the elders of the city, and he disciplined them. Oh yeah, it's judges, right? Here we go. Full context, 11:5. Now, Jephthah was a Gileadite, was a valiant warrior, but he was the son of a prostitute. This Jephthah guy, valiant warrior, son of a prostitute. Gilead had fathered Jephthah. Gilead's wife bore him sons. And when his wife's sons grew up, they drove Jephthah out because Jephthah was the son of a prostitute. Now, it came about after a while, the sons of Ammon fought against Israel. When the sons of Ammon fought against Israel, the elders of Gilead went to get Jephthah from the land of Tob. They said to Jephthah, come and be our leader that we may fight against the sons of Ammon. But Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, did you not hate me and drive me from my father's house? So why have you come to me now when you're in trouble? Okay, who do they send for this transaction? They're like, man, we're getting beat up. We need somebody. Oh, hey, Jephthah, the person we drove out, the son, the brother that we hated. He's a valiant warrior. Let's go get him. Who do they send? Elders. Control F. Elders. Next. Elders. Next. Elders. They send the elders for this, Jephthah's like, dude, you sent me away, but the elder, right? They don't just send an old person. Y'all, I think y'all get the point. The elders of the congregation said, what are we to do for wives for those who are left, since the women have been eliminated from Benjamin? The elders are trying to figure this out. The women are gone. The men have no wives. What do? Let's figure this out. Who tries to figure it out? The elders of the congregation. Okay. And then Ruth took men of the elders in the city and sat down here. Okay. So why does he go get elders of the city? They're important people. They might not be old, but we think they are. They might not be elders who what was it? They took 70 of the elders, and God took spirit from Moses and put them on those elders. They might not be elders with the spirit of God on them necessarily, like in some special way. We all have the spirit, you know. They might not be elders who were alive during the time of Joshua, but no. But they're known as elders of the city. I don't know if it's an official title, but people at least know them that way. So when you're going to do a transaction, so when he takes 10 men of the elders of the city and say, sit down here. So they sat down, and they're at the city gate, which we talked about before. The city gate is an important place you do transactions. So Boaz gets the Redeemer at the city gate with 10 of the elders. Something important is fixing to go down. I don't know why I'm the man, the elders, the city gate. Something important fixing to go down, I would think. He said to the Redeemer, in the sight of the elders, Naomi, who has returned from the land of Moab, has to sell the plot of land which belonged to our brother Elimelech. Question. Did Naomi ever mention anything about selling the plot of her land? No. Is Boaz lying here? Probably not. Naomi probably does need to sell the land. Naomi probably should sell the land. You know, she's a widower. She can't, according to custom at least, she can't exactly pass the land along, right? According to custom, the men do that stuff. I'm going to look up something real quick. Noah, Genesis 6, of course, Numbers, the law of inheritance. Now Zelophehad, the son of Heifer, had no sons, only daughters. And the names of the daughters of Zelophehad were Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. Zelophehad. Yeah, if you're looking for baby names, there we go. Zelophehad. Zelophid. I don't know. Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. So next time somebody's like Bible trivia, who is Noah in the Bible? She was the daughter of Zelophehad. They'll be like, that's wrong. But like, nope, Numbers 23. You open your Bible and you show them. Pretty good, huh? Okay, the daughters of Zelophehad, the son of Heifer, the son of Gilead, the son of Becher, the son of Manasseh, of the families of Manasseh, came forward. Okay. These are the names of his daughters, Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. Why are they coming forward? Full chapter. Let's see. Now remember, over here, Naomi, who had returned from the land of Moab, has to sell the plot of land, which belonged to our brother Elimelech. Okay. Naomi, women usually don't do this stuff. And in the book of Ruth, Naomi isn't said to do this stuff. But since she did have a husband, and she did have a spot in Israel, the husband, like 99% chance, they had land in Israel. Everybody had land in Israel. If you were a citizen, you weren't like a beggar or something like that. You had land. That's why there's so many land laws. We talked about redeeming the land. Every 7 years, you give the land back. Every 50 years, you give the land back, I think. It's something like that. Yeah. The land, you pass the land down from your father to your son. It's just a given. It's a normal. If I wrote a story and I talked about living in my apartment, nobody would go, wait, you live in an apartment? Why do you live in an apartment? You need to explain it. Everybody would just know that's a normal, common, everyday thing. In the Bible, normal, common, everyday thing, the land which belonged to our brother Elimelech. Oh yeah, you don't have to explain it. But Naomi selling the land, but she's a woman. They would also go, wait, women can't sell it. Well, that's why Boaz is there doing the transaction, right? How did Naomi get the land? Then the daughters of Zelophehad, the son of Heifer, the Gileadite. Oh, the son of Gilead, the son of Becher, the son of Manasseh, of the family of Manasseh, came forth right here. They stood before Moses, before Eleazar the priest. We were just talking about him. before the leaders, before the elders. It doesn't say, and all the congregation at the entrance of the tent of meeting, saying, so this is important. These 5 daughters, they go before Moses. Everybody's there. What do they say? Our father died in the wilderness, yet he was not among the group of those who gathered together against the Lord in the group of Korah, but he died in his own sin and he had no sons. Okay, he was not a bad person. No, he died in his own sins. He didn't die in the group of Korah. Okay, God said, all you people who followed Korah, all you people that were not going to go to the promised land, you're not getting any inheritance. But these daughters are like, our dad, Zelophehad, wasn't among them. Why should the name of our father be withdrawn from among his family simply because he had no son? He had no son to pass his land on to, 5 daughters. Give us property among our father's brothers. So Moses brought their case before the Lord. Wait a minute, girls. Y'all are women. Property rights go to sons. We know that. Not only is it our custom, but all the laws and so far that God had given us have said the son redeemed it. The son does this. The son does that. Let's bring this case before the Lord. The daughters are like, our name's going to be struck out from Israel. Our father doesn't deserve that. What can we need? Can you give us property? Then the Lord said to Moses, what's the Lord say about this case? The daughters of Zelophehad are right about their statements. You shall certainly give them hereditary property among their father's brothers, and you shall transfer the inheritance of their father to them. Whoa. Talk about feminism. God is the first feminist? No, not really. Further, you shall speak to the sons of Israel, saying, if a man dies and has no son, you shall transfer his inheritance to his daughter. If he has no daughter, then you shall give his inheritance to his brothers. So it's still trying to go through the male line, but if you got no daughters, give it to his brothers. If he has no brothers, shall give the inheritance to his father's brothers. If the father has no brothers, watch this. And you shall give inheritance to his nearest relative in his own family. And so they're still assuming males, and he shall take possession of it. What if it's just a bunch of females? Well, eventually you would find a person to give it to who would be a man. And if there just weren't any period, give it to the woman. God doesn't say that the daughters of Zelophehad are wrong. Instead, give it to an uncle. No. He says, you shall certainly give them hereditary property. Give it to the daughters. Right? Okay. So this isn't the exact same case, but it's kind of the same. Naomi is the husband. Naomi is not a husband. She's a wife. Naomi is a lady. Naomi is the wife or the deceased wife. She is not deceased. Naomi is the female widow of the deceased Elimelech. There we go. I got this. We'll get this someday. Don't worry. It's easy for you to say. Yeah, you try, daughter, wife, deceased, he, her, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, female. See how confusing this is? We're trying to keep the very basic Bible, and still it's not very basic. Oh my goodness. Okay. Here we go. Now, real quick. This is the Old Testament. And some people in the New will say we still have to follow these specific New Old Testament laws today. I'm not of that ilk. Most Christians are of the ilk. Most Christians will say we don't have to follow the laws in the Old Testament, except for the obvious moral laws. Don't kill, don't steal, stuff like that. Laws given to us in the New Testament. Okay? Don't commit adultery, right? Honor your father and mother. There we go. So remember, we're spending a lot of time in the Old Testament because we're studying an Old Testament book. A. B, this helps us to learn how to read the Bible. But we are not spending a lot of time in the Old Testament because C, this is important stuff for us today that we have to do. We have to have these certain property rights. We have to make sure that only the husband of the brother gets it. We have to redeem our land. No. We're not This isn't practical application for that reason. The practical application is learning to study the Bible. When you read other places in the Bible, you will come upon, wait, why are they doing it with the husband and wife? You'll come upon some things that say, wait, why is this so? There's a story about a queen in Israel. Okay, she's like the grandmother. When her grandson died, she kills a bunch of people and she takes the throne. We go, wait, I see why that's bad. It's because she killed all the kids and took the throne. The Israelites would have thought two things. A, she took all the kids and took the throne, and B, you're a woman. Only a king is supposed to be on the throne. So when we read that story, instead of going, oh no, it's bad that she killed kids. Well, that's our modern day sensibilities. I agree. But what would they have thought in the past? Right now, we look at that and reread, it's because she killed all the kids and that's it. And that's a bad thing. Oh no. What they would have thought in the past and what we should read, she killed all the kids, which is bad, but she's a woman. She can't take the throne. She has to be a man. That's what they would have read. So knowing stuff like this, getting super detailed, helps us. When the text doesn't explain everything clearly and like precisely, we want to not accidentally explain it ourselves. We want to let the Bible explain it. So the more we look at this stuff in the Bible, talk about this person, that person, he, she, property rights, redeemed, the more we get that into our mind, we're reading the Bible, the less likely we are to accidentally read it from our modern day standpoint, the more likely we'll read it from the Bible's ancient standpoint. Then we will understand the Bible better. Then we can make proper application, such as, maybe here's one, okay? Here's one. God has rather specific rules he wants us to follow. He gives commands. He gives us rather specific commands to follow. Men get the property. Men get the property. That seems kind of arbitrary. Sometimes God will ask us to do stuff that seems arbitrary, but we should follow him anyway. Okay, there we go. Men get the property. There's one thing. Sometimes we just have to follow God's rules, even though they seem arbitrary. There's a practical outward thing. Okay. Men get the property. Wait. In this case, some woman got the property. Sometimes there's an exception to the rule that God gives us. So we can look at that in the New Testament. So we can practical application. Sometimes there are exceptions to rules, and sometimes we just need to follow rules even though they seem arbitrary. Practical applications. But that's not why we're necessarily studying this stuff from the past. There's a step before the practical application. That is basic Bible study. The practical application gets into theology. Okay, right? Gets into theology. What is theology? The study of God. When you start applying this stuff practically, you're thinking, what would God do with the revelation he gave us? What would God do is his theology. Very basic Bible is, let's figure out the revelation he gave us. Let's figure out the ancient stuff. Let's figure out the Bible first. Remember, very basic Bible, everything before the theology. Okay. So if we put ourselves in an ancient mindset, a woman might be able to sell her land, but they're going to attach it to the man, our brother Elimelech. She has to sell the plot of land which belonged to the husband. And is Naomi there trying to negotiate this? No, Boaz is the man. So we can see why Naomi would be able to sell it, but why it would be attached to Elimelech and all that stuff. That's pretty cool, huh? I think that helps me. You might be thinking, BJ, this is pointless. This helps me understand why all this stuff happens. I like it. It's more like a story now, and less like I'm just kind of reading history. Yeah. Some people they get way into like Lord of the Rings, and they can name every monster. They can name every king. They can say, oh, the reason why they did this was, and they can explain it. Oh, the reason why they did that was, they can explain it. They get way into Lord. Why? Because it's fun. Because it makes Lord of the Rings easier. When they watch it, it's like a whole bigger world to them. It's like a whole like huge thing. It's like, whoa, they can get immersed into it. Imagine if instead of Lord of the Rings, we did the same thing for the Bible. The Bible becomes bigger to us. It becomes a whole world to us. We become happy. We want to talk about it. We become immersed in the Bible, God's revelation. We're becoming immersed in God's revelation and basically God. I love video games. I talk about video game stuff all the time. I'm immersed in a video game culture. Not too much, but kind of. Imagine if instead I took that and I applied it to God's revelation of the Bible. That's what I'm trying to do. Pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It helps the Bible come alive to me. Instead of just, oh, these are some video games which some people played. It comes alive to me. Instead of just, oh, these are just facts of history in the Bible, and this is just random stuff. No, it comes alive to me. Comes alive. I mean, you keep saying that. Comes alive. It comes alive. It's bigger, brighter. The word of God, as Hebrews says, the book of Hebrews in the New Testament says the word of God is living and active, sharper than any double-edged sword, piercing and dividing, not just between our physical, between bone and marrow, but between soul and spirit. That's from the book of Hebrews, talking about the word of God. The book of Timothy says, Paul tells Timothy, you have studied the ancient writings from your youth. The ancient writings are God-breathed. They are profitable for teaching, correcting, rebuking, building up the godly man. So Paul said, hey, Timothy, you've studied these writings, the writings we're studying, the book of Ruth and others. You have studied these from your youth. They are profitable for teaching and correcting. They build up the godly man. Okay, so why should we get immersed into the culture of the Bible? Why should we get immersed in God's revelation? Evidently, in the New Testament, it's important stuff. Jesus had chunks of Deuteronomy memorized and quoted them to the devil. He quoted parts of the Bible, parts of the Psalm, he quoted a Psalm to the devil. He often quoted from Isaiah in the Psalms. This is Jesus. He was immersed in that. We should be too. That, makes sense to me. It is important. He said to the Redeemer, Naomi has returned from the land of Moab. We remember that from chapter 1. Has to sell the plot of land which belonged to our brother Elimelech. Okay. So I, Boaz, thought that I would inform you, the Redeemer. Why is he informing the Redeemer? Remember, in chapter 3. Control F, Redeemer. Look, I hit Shift F. I type in nothing. There's nothing down here. Okay, Control F. And now look at the bottom left. Redeemer. It's going to come up with like, what is it? Let me see, 18 matches because Redeemer, Redeemer, guardian of the family interests, Redeemer, Redeemer, a guardian Redeemer, family Redeemer. Okay, who are you? She answered, I am Ruth, your slave. Spread your garment over your slave, for you are a redeemer. Then that's Boaz. So Boaz said, hey, Ruth is like, hey, you're a redeemer. Now we'll go to next. Next. Now we're going to go down. But now, although it is true that I am a redeemer, yet there's also a redeemer more closely related than I. Remember, Boaz is an upstanding man. He's not going to take this man's property. If he's not going to redeem Ruth, if it is proper for the other man to redeem Ruth. The whole book has seemed to point to how upstanding and God-fearing man Boaz is. Remaineth night, and when morning comes, yet there's also a redeemer more closely related than I. If he will redeem your land, good, let him redeem you. But if he does not wish to redeem you, then I will redeem you. Okay. So how is Boaz going to redeem it? He's not only redeeming Ruth, but he's also redeeming the land. This seems kind of tricky. It seems like Boaz is like, hey, Ruth, I'm going to redeem you. Then he goes to this man and he says, hey, Naomi has a plot of land. Maybe he's doing two different transactions. Now, we've read this before already. And if you look down here, you will see on the day you buy the field from the hand of Naomi, you must also acquire Ruth the Moabitess, the widow of the deceased, in order to raise up the name of the deceased on his inheritance. Okay. We've talked about that before several times. Raise up his inheritance. It's the Redeemer of the land. Remember, Noah and what is it? What were the other kids' names? Mahla, Noah, Holga, Milcah, Tirzah. They didn't have a brother. They were going to, why should the name of our fathers be withdrawn among the family simply because he has no son? Give us property among our father's brothers. Okay. Now, as soon as they got property, I bet they get property. When they got married, I bet then, how would it work? They would have a son. That son, I'm trying to see if I can figure this redeemer thing out. That son would then be named after Zelophehad, who died. But what about the husband who married the daughters of Zelophehad? They want sons to pass on their inheritance. So Zelophehad needs to pass on his inheritance. But then the dudes who marry Zelophehad's daughters need someone to pass on their inheritance to. So I bet the first son, whoever marries Zelophehad's daughters, the first son would pass on Zelophehad's line. But then you would have more sons. They would then pass on their family line. If that makes any sense. That doesn't make sense. Don't worry too much about it. You get right now, think about it if you want. You get the basic concept of passing on the family line through your son. On the day you buy the field from the hand of Naomi, you must also acquire Ruth the Moabitess. Why? The widow of the deceased, in order to raise up the name of the deceased on his inheritance. Okay, it's not just the land. The land needs to stay with Elimelech. How does the land stay with Elimelech? You need to have a baby with Elimelech's wife, a widow. I'm sorry, not Elimelech's widow, Elimelech's son's widow. Somewhere down here it tells us if it was what was it, Mahlon and Chilion were the names of Elimelech's sons. Oh, hey, Elimelech and all. Oh, Chilion and okay, the widow of Mahlon. So Ruth was the widow of Mahlon. Okay, here we go. Okay. So we skipped the verse. Then he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, sit down here. So they sat down. And he said to the Redeemer, Naomi, who has returned from the land of Moab, has to sell the plot of land which belonged to our brother Elimelech. So I thought that I would inform you, saying, buy it before those who are sitting here, and before the elders of my people. Either A, those who are sitting here are the elders of the people, and he's reinforcing it by repeating it. When you we've talked about parallelism, well, also repetition. When you repeat something, God is great and gives us everything. God is wonderful and loves us all the day. You're not only giving a parallel, but you're giving the parallel for emphasis. You're repeating it. On the internet, sometimes when you type on Facebook, people put 3 quotation marks, right? They really want you to know what they're saying. Or they'll say, Paul the Apostle in the New Testament says, rejoice always. Again, I say rejoice. And he says, I am not afraid to repeat the same thing to you. Like, it's important, right? So either A, he's repeating, buy it from those who are from the elders. These elders are important people. Those who are sitting here, you're going to buy it in front of them. Or those who are sitting here, Control F, people. Before the elders of my people, down, over, now down. Then Boaz said to all the elders, and all the people. So there are elders and people there. So there's the man, there's the elders, but there's also all the people. Because remember, the city gates, that's like a major thoroughfare. Everybody went before the city gates. Everybody went through the city gates. Why did they do stuff through the city gates? That was an important spot. That was a spot where they chose to do important things. You can't go through a city through the walls. You walk up to the wall, you run into it, and you knock yourself out. Or you can't get to right. You don't climb over the wall. How would you get into it? If there's all a wall and then there's one gate, how would everybody get into the city? Through the gate. They wouldn't start digging a tunnel. No, through the. I mean, it's common sense, right? So that's why all the people there. There's probably a lot of people gathered around. They probably saw Boaz. A lot of people know Boaz. They probably saw 10 elders. They see Boaz talking to the elders. Probably people just kind of gather around, and they see something happening. Maybe Boaz is announcing it loudly. I don't know, but there's people there, All right. So, and he said to the Redeemer, Naomi, who has returned from the land of Moab, has to sell the plot of land which belonged to our brother Elimelech. So I thought that I would inform you, saying, I would inform you, buy it before those who are sitting here and before the elders of my people. If you will redeem it, redeem it. But if not, tell me so that I may know. For there is no one except you to redeem it, and I am after you. And the man said, I will redeem it. So Boaz is you can see in a moment though, Boaz is trying to be shrewd. We already talked about it. The inheritance, right? The man's like, should I? Okay, my inheritance? Okay, let's read. Then Boaz said, on the day you buy the field from the hand of Naomi, because I will redeem the field. On the day you buy the field, if you go up here, the plot of land, same thing, okay? So I'll say plot of land. On the day you buy the plot of land, okay, same thing. From the hand of Naomi, you must also acquire Ruth the Moabitess, the widow of the deceased, in order to raise up the name of the deceased on his inheritance. Then the Redeemer said, I cannot redeem it for myself. Otherwise, I would jeopardize my own inheritance. All the inheritance stuff we talked about. Now, what if the man said, okay, I'll buy it. And because of, that case of numbers with Huldah and Tirzah and Marla, who are they? All those people, Noah. I'm trying not to say Noah because Noah's Ark. Mala, Tirzah, Milcah, Hogla. He could have said, hey, remember that precedent? Hey, maybe we can make a precedent now. Maybe we can make a new rule now. I'll marry her, but my first son will be for my inheritance. Then any baby then the second son will be because, my inheritance. He could say that. Why not? Or he could say that. They could go find a prophet. They could go to the temple. Was there a temple at this time? No. There's a tabernacle. They could go find the tabernacle before. They could go to the priest and say, hey, they could go to the judges of the city. Say, hey, judges, what do y'all think? And they'd say, okay, we judge this that way. So I'm not sure. They could go, they could do that. Or the man could say, I can't redeem it for myself. Otherwise, I would jeopardize my own inheritance. Okay, the man could just say that. The man might not realize that he could go and say, hey, I want to redeem this land, elders and judges, but I would redeem my own property. Let's try and figure this out. The man might not think that. The man might just go, oh, no. Or the man might think, oh, it's not worth the trouble. I don't need the land anyway, What's going through the Redeemer's mind? I don't know. It doesn't tell us. But since we studied and we've pounded and pounded and pounded the context of their day, the ancient context, the male headship, the male headline, the elders, their elders and judges, you go, the people said, Moses, you go before God, then you speak to us. Since the elders would go, God took some of the spirit of Moses and put it on 70 of the elders. People would go to the elders. The elders would eventually, if the case was too hard, would go to Moses. If the case was too hard for Moses, he would go to the Lord. Since we know all that, we can think of several different scenarios. Maybe this man could have done this. Maybe this man could have done that. We don't know. But what we do know, what the man did do, he just said, I won't buy it. Otherwise, I would jeopardize my own inheritance. How would he jeopardize his own inheritance? He would have babies with Ruth. They would get that land. But wait, what if the man only has one baby? What if it's just Ruth? Would all the baby boys be Ruth's? Wait, is there precedent where the first baby would be Ruth's family line through Elimelech? Then the sons would be my family line through mine. Is there a precedent like that? I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure. We could think of all these scenarios. We're thinking biblically. We understand why the man would say, otherwise I would jeopardize my own inheritance. We now understand that. It makes sense now. We can read this less as, I'm just going to read through it because it's just ancient history. And I want to get to the part where, yay, Boaz is happy with Ruth. But now we can read the more rich, the more full orb story. And when you get to the New Testament and it talks about being redeemed by Jesus, now it makes much more sense. We are Jesus' inheritance, right? Yeah, buddy. Redeem it for yourself. You may have my right of redemption, since I cannot redeem it, or he's not willing to redeem it, or whatever. Now this was a custom in former times in Israel concerning the redemption and the exchange of land to confirm any matter. A man removed his sandal and gave it to another, and this was the way of confirmation in Israel. Removed his sandal, like, hey, you took my land, hey, you can have my sandal too. A man removed his sandal and gave it to another. But it doesn't say that one of them actually took off their sandal. It doesn't say which one took off their sandal. It just said this was a custom. Why is it telling us that? I'm not sure. I guess it was a long lost custom and they thought they might not know why they're exchanging sandals right now. But it doesn't tell us they change. That's kind of weird, It just randomly says it. Sometimes stuff in the Bible is just randomly inserted in there. It seems random to us. Abraham's talking to God. God's like, hey, I'm going to do this and that for you. Abraham's like, Abram. It's like, God, I'm not sure if you're going to do that. I don't have a son. God's like, don't worry, you'll have a son. Come outside with me. Look at the stars. You're going to have that many sons. Abram believed in God and it was credited to him as righteousness. God tells Abram, hey, Abram, go grab some people. Go grab some animals. Make an altar. You're going to do a sacrifice. Yeah, Abram goes and grabs the animals. He makes a sacrifice. He cuts them up. They're going to do a covenant. God puts Abram to sleep. In the middle of all this, God, I'm not going to have a son. Yes, you will have a son. Look at the stars. Okay, now go get animals for a covenant. I'm going to make a covenant with you and show you that I'm going to give you a son. In the middle of all that, he believed in God and credited him as righteousness. It just randomly says it. This is Genesis chapter 15, if you want to go look at it. The whole thing was about God. How am I going to get a son? God says, look at the stars. And God says, hey, let's make a covenant. I promise I'm going to give you the land. Let's do a covenant. But in the middle of that is inserted, Abram believed in God is credited in righteousness. Sometimes stuff in the Bible is just inserted, This just seems inserted. If you look at our last video, maybe the one before it, we go into the sandal thing in detail. So how many minutes have I been control? Okay, escape. You can't see it on your screen, I don't think, but my screen says an hour and 5 minutes. Where I'm circling with the mouse, it says an hour and 5 minutes. I'm not sure if I've been going an hour and 5 minutes. Maybe a little less. But I'm going to read a little bit more and then we'll quit. We'll probably have one more Bible study in Ruth and that's it. Maybe 2 or 3. The Redeemer said to Boaz, buy it for yourself. Oh, hey, and he removed his sandal. I'm guessing the Redeemer removed his sandal. It says he and his. They've been saying the name of Boaz. They have not yet said the name of the Redeemer. So I'm guessing the he and the his is the man. So he removes his sandal, gives it to Boaz. Boaz gives the man land. Sandal, and it's, the man doesn't even get, the land. That's crazy. Okay, here we go. Then Boaz said to the elders and all the people, the elders and all the people. Now the elders are included in all the people, but they're trying to get the point across. Everyone was there, all the people. Well, some people were out in the field. Some people might have been asleep, some people were on a pot. It just means the whole congregation is a lot of the time. A lot of times it'll say assembly or congregation, just everyone who's there, you know. A transaction like this, maybe it was a big deal, you know, and lots of people came to watch. Boaz said to the elders, the important ones, and all the people, you are witnesses today that I have bought from the hand of Naomi all that belonged to Elimelech and all that belonged to Chili and Melon. Did he buy it? I thought that it just went to him, right? Earlier, he did say something about buying it. He said, where was it at? On the day you buy the field up here. So I thought buy it from before. So why is he buying it? I thought it just transferred. If you redeem it, then you just get it. That should be it. I'm going to look up something real quick. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really quiet. Field and years. Let's look that up. Leviticus. Okay, right here. If he consecrates his field after the Jubilee, the 50 years. That's okay. However, after Jubilee, you consecrate the field. And the priest shall calculate the price for him proportionate to the years that are left until the year of Jubilee, and it shall be deducted from your assessment. Does that make total 100% sense? What you're trying to say is, if you get a field and there's the year of Jubilee, and let's go, and then somebody wants to buy, right? Rules concerning assessments. When someone makes an explicit vow, he shall be valued according to your assessment of the persons belonging to the Lord. Okay. If it is an animal, one can present his offering. Someone consecrates his house, the priest shall assess it as either good or bad. If someone consecrates the Lord part of the field of his own property, then your assessment shall be proportionate to the seed needed for the land. You assess it proportionate for the seed. You give a price according to the amount of seed that it produces. In other words, how much can it produce? Homer of barley seed at 50 shekels of silver. Okay. How much will it produce? If it produces a homer of barley, let's see. About 7.7 cubic feet. Okay. 50 shekels of silver. Okay, so it's price. They're prices. This is economics. God's dealing in economics. If he consecrates his field as of the year of Jubilee, according to your assessment, it shall stand. But if he consecrates it after the year of Jubilee, however, then the priest shall calculate the price of him proportionate to the years that are left until the years of Jubilee. Okay. So how many years are you going to have of crops to the year of Jubilee? Okay. You want to value it at that price because why? The land goes back to the man at the year of Jubilee. Every year of Jubilee, everyone gets their land back. So the man says, hey, I'm going to give this to the Lord. The year of Jubilee, the man gets it back. Okay, pretty cool. But this really, I need to study this more because if I give something to the Lord, I would assume the Lord would keep it. If he consecrates, because this up here says, speak to say to them when someone makes an explicit vow. So maybe this isn't to the Lord. I thought I saw somewhere about the Lord. I thought I saw. Maybe we do a Bible study along on this whole assessment thing. Maybe we'll do a study on Leviticus chapter 27. Sounds like fun, huh? Okay, guys. Let's go back to Ruth. Buy it for yourselves. Your witnesses today have bought from the hand of Naomi all that belonged to Elimelech and all that belonged to Chili and Malian. Furthermore, Boaz says, I have acquired Ruth the Moabitess, the widow of Mahlon, to be my wife in order to raise up the name of the deceased on his inheritance, so that The name of the deceased will not be eliminated from his brothers or from the court of his birthplace. You are witnesses today. Now, why didn't Naomi say, "But wait a minute. Remember back when Moses in the wilderness with the loaf ahead? So my daughter-in-law, maybe we can make an assessment. Maybe we can, the loaf ahead's daughter's got property. Maybe we can do this for Ruth and she could get property." They didn't do all that. Instead, they did the normal everyday redemption rights. Okay, the normal everyday redeeming stuff. I'm going to marry her. The kids she has are going to get her land. Then Mahlon's name will not be eliminated from his brothers or from the court of his birthplace, the gate of his native place. Okay, from his village, okay. So the name of the deceased might not disappear from among his relatives and from his village. Okay. Yeah. And all the people who were in the court or the gate, earlier they called it a court, a gate, now they're calling it a court. And the elders said, all the people and the elders said, "We are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your home like Rachel and Leah, both of whom," okay, so the important part I wanted to get at was witnesses. This is very specific, like they're making sure and doing this very transactionally. All right, we're going to stop share there because now we've gotten through the little transaction, the little economic thing, the very official court proceedings or something. I don't know. How do we do it nowadays? We sign title deeds. I had to go to the courthouse for a car, and they were like, "No, you need these signatures." I was like, "We had these signatures." "No, you missed a signature here." So we had to drive and find the guy. Before that, we told the guy, "Hey, we need the title deed to the car." And then we were like, "Look, it has no horn and the registration's out." And the guy's like, "That doesn't matter. You should still take it." And we're like, legally, we cannot take it because the title says it. See, all this legal stuff. Oh my goodness. My wife, she kind of cried. She was like, "But I was like, "Why are you crying? What's that?" She's like, "I'm sorry. It's just overwhelming." She suddenly got kind of overwhelmed because we paid a bunch of money for this car. We found a day to go get this car. We didn't have a car. A friend drove us up there. We finally got there and got the car. And then the guy, it doesn't even have a horn. The guy's like, "What? You don't need a horn. Just take the car." He was flabbergasted. My wife was flabbergasted. I was like, "Guys, calm down. Just go get a horn on the car, repair the airbag thing, and we'll get a registration, and then we'll come get." And we did. Everything was good. The guy was happy next time. He's like, "Okay, here's your car. I'm sorry that freak." And my wife's like, "It's okay." We had to go through all that. Instead of exchanging a sandal, we exchanged a title deed. So that's what they were doing right there. Rather law-like. You're almost like you're treating Ruth as property, but obviously we can see that Boaz loved her, or else he wouldn't have done it. I'm assuming he loved her. He's an upright citizen. God loved us and redeemed us, but we're not just God's property. We kind of are. In a sense, he bought us. We belong to him. He loves us. There we go. See, practical application. We take what we learned in the old, we apply it to the new, then it spills out onto our lives. That's awesome. Thank you, Lord Jesus. And with that, I was going to pray, but with that, I think that's good. I think God knows us. God, our preachings and our thoughts towards him and of him and with him can be our prayer to him. Amen, God. Amen. Thank you, Lord. So guys, we will see y'all on the next Very Basic Bible.